This was the first summer the coach let us boys wear swim trunks instead of those skimpy racing trunks. But Mom said Rodrick's hand-me-down bathing suit was perfectly fine. She said, "Your friends will be jealous because you'll be so fast." Yeah, right. They had a good laugh on me. After swim practice, Rodrick would pick me up in his band's van. Mom had this crazy idea that if me and Rodrick spent quality time on the ride home every day, we wouldn't fight as much. But all it did was make things a lot worse. Rodrick was always a half-hour late picking me up, and he wouldn't let me sit up front. He said the chlorine would ruin his seat, even though the van is something like 15 years old. Rodrick's van doesn't actually have any seats in the back, so I had to squeeze in with all the band equipment. And every time the van came to a stop, I had to pray I didn't get my head taken off by one of Rodrick's drums. I ended up walking home every day instead of getting a ride from Rodrick. I figured it was better to just walk the 2 miles than to get brain damage riding in the back of that van. Halfway through the summer, I decided I was pretty much done with swim team. So I came up with a trick to get out of practice. I'd swim a few laps, and then I'd ask the coach if I could use the bathroom. Then, I'd just hide out in the locker room until practice was over. The only problem with my plan was that it was something like 40 degrees in the boys' bathroom, so it was even colder in there than it was in the pool. I had to wrap myself up in toilet paper so I didn't get hypothermia. That's how I spent a pretty big chunk of my summer vacation. And that's why I'm actually looking forward to going back to school tomorrow. When I got to school today, everybody was acting all strange around me, and at first, I didn't know what was up. Then I remembered. I still had the cheese touch from last year. I got the cheese touch in the last week of school, and over the summer I completely forgot about it. The problem with the cheese touch is that you've got it until you pass it on to someone else. But nobody would even get within 30 feet of me, so I knew I was going to be stuck with the cheese touch for the whole school year. Luckily, there was a new kid named Jeremy Pindle in homeroom, so that took care of that problem. He got the cheese touch so fast, he didn't know what hit him. My first class was pre-algebra, and the teacher put me right next to Alex Aruda, the smartest kid in the whole class. But Mom said Rodrick's hand-me-down bathing suit was perfectly fine. But Rodrick's hand-me-down bathing suit. Mom had this crazy idea that if me and Rodrick spent quality time on the ride home every day, but all it did was make things a lot worse. So I had to squeeze in with all the band equipment. And every time the van came to a stop, I decided I was pretty much done with swim team. So I came up with a trick to get out of practice. So I came up with a trick. So I didn't get hypothermia. And at first, I didn't know what was up. The problem with the cheese touch is that you've got it until you pass it on to someone else.